Hi guys, I'm making this video today as a very concerned citizen and a very concerned Mumbaikar. India today has about 3.6 lakh cases of COVID-19, out of which close to about 1.2 lakh cases are in Maharashtra alone, which is almost about 34% of all cases in India. And within Maharashtra, you've got Mumbai, the commercial capital, which has got uh, almost about 65,000 cases. And if you consider Mumbai plus Thane, we are reaching almost about 80,000 cases, which is almost close to about 75% of all cases in Maharashtra. If you compare this with, our neighboring state, Karnataka, and the reason why I'm going to talk about Karnataka is because I recently had an opportunity to visit Karnataka, wherein it was absolutely unavoidable travel, and I had to go over there. But what I witnessed in Karnataka was unique. It was endearing, and it was very positive. And there could be many reasons, why Maharashtra and Mumbai are reeling under these kind of numbers as far as COVID-19 cases are concerned. And of course, everybody knows that social distancing in Maharashtra, especially Mumbai, is not possible. Not so much in Maharashtra, but of course in Mumbai, it's not possible. We have shanties, we have slums, even the some of the flats that we live in, especially the middle class. Uh, they're very close to each other. There are many people from the migrant labor class that are stuffed together into one room. We know all of this, but what I'm trying to tell you today, and what I'm going to explain to you today is one of the reasons why, and the big reason why Mumbai today is in such a bad state is perhaps because the government, the police machinery, and also the civic body, which is the BMC, has probably not done the kind of job that Karnataka government is doing. I'll explain you how. Now, if you want to travel from Maharashtra to Karnataka, there are many steps that you have to take. But when you come back from Karnataka to Maharashtra, there is absolutely nothing that stops you from entering into the state. Uh, I have to take you this stepwise, so please bear with me. The first thing that you need to do if you want to go from Mumbai to Bangalore, or from any city or any district in Maharashtra to any city and district in Karnataka, is that you got to download this app called the Seva Sandhu app. It's also a portal. If you don't now download the app, you can go on the web and you can access it. Now this has to be done whether you're going by air, whether you're going by rail, or whether you're going by road. Now, what is the Seva Sandhu app? The Seva Sandhu app is essentially a data aggregator by the government of Karnataka, where you have to go and you have to answer about 20 odd questions, about your date of birth, your name, your Aadhaar and your PAN card, your reason to visit, where are you coming from, where are you going, why are you going, how long are you going to be staying over there, is there a letter which is of invite from the particular state, from a person from that particular state who wants you over there? Is your employer asking you to go? So it's exactly like a visa process. When you go and you travel to a different country and you have these questions that you have to fill in, it's very similar. Of course, it's not that difficult, and it's absolutely free. Of course, they don't charge you a penny. You also have to put up a health certificate. Okay, now when you do all of this, the portal accepts your request, and then it gives you a request number. Now I have to tell you here one more thing, that when I was putting up my application, it asked me to put in a health certificate, to scan a health certificate from a certified BMC hospital in Mumbai, and upload it. When I went to the BMC hospital, it was the BACS hospital opposite Andheri West station on SV Road. The guys took 210 rupees from me. They gave me a certificate without doing any checkup. No temperature checks were done. No breath analyzing was done. No pulse checkup was done. Obviously, I don't expect them to take throat swabs and puncture me to take my blood sample, etc. But at least these preliminary clinical trials or clinical tests, one would expect that at least the temperature gun is pointed at your forehead, and the temperature is recorded. But they did not take any such precautions or any such steps. And this is the government hospital in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, which has the maximum number of cases in the country today. So it was really deplorable what we witnessed over there. But anyway, coming back to the Seva Sandhu app, after you have filled in all these details and you've scanned up all your forms and put it up, it gives you a request number. Now, this request number categorically states it's an 8 to 10 digit number. I don't quite remember clearly, but it categorically states that please do not take your travel till the time this request number or this request is coming back to you with a verification. Now, this verification process is very important because it has got a mechanism where a human sitting on the other side of the computer, there is a human intervention who goes through your entire application, and then they have different demarcations. So, depending on what you have selected as your purpose of visit to Karnataka, you're either going to be called a business traveler or a return to home traveler or a transit traveler, etc. They've got about six such demarcations. Now, what's interesting over here is that the rules are different for each kind of traveler. If you're a business traveler, you can be there only for up to 6 to 7 days. If you're a return to home traveler, then you have to do a 7 day quarantine. If you're a healthcare worker and you're returning home, then you have to be in a 14 day institutionalized quarantine, so on and so forth. But it's very streamlined and it is very well managed. Uh, the next and the fourth and the most important thing and a very interesting aspect was that only a certain number of people are allowed to enter into Karnataka state border um, from a certain checkpoint. So, for example, if you're entering through the airport, then there are only a certain number of people, about 2,000, 3,000 people, whatever the number may be. I was traveling through road and entering through Nipani. People who've gone to from Bombay to Goa using NH48 know about Nipani as the Naka from where the state border of Maharashtra ends and Karnataka begins. In Nipani, there are two checkpoints, and there are only 250 people that are allowed every day from those checkpoints. So if your intended date of travel is, let's say, the 12th or the 13th of this month, but you have already missed the number of the quota of 250 people and your person number 251, you will be given a different date, which I think is fantastic because it is limiting the number of people that are coming in. It is also limiting the pressure on the operational staff. The fifth and a very interesting thing is that it takes about 24 hours for the Seva Sandhu app to give you back a verification whether your application has been, has gone through, or do you need to reapply. If everything is fine, then what is the date that you can take the travel on? And interestingly, it very clearly says, right at the beginning, that please do not undertake your travel till the time the verification is done. Anyway, my verification was done, and on the set date, I took the car out and I left. What I realized over there is that through the entire road in Maharashtra, the checkpoints were very weak. There were hardly any checkpoints, but I thought that this is the southbound road where people are exiting from Mumbai. They're going towards the outskirts of Mumbai and then going beyond Maharashtra. So maybe it's not incumbent upon the Maharashtra government to take care of people who are going outside the state. But when people will be coming back inside, yes, of course, there'll be various provisions that will be made by the government. Of course, I was really far away from the truth, but anyway, we'll come to that later. Now, when I reached Nipani Naka, what I understood and realized is that it was very streamlined. It was very strict. There was no way that you could escape through the security. There was no loophole. They had shut all lanes. It's a three-lane highway, NH48. Those of you who've been there, uh, it's a three-lane highway, and two lanes were completely shut. And at the Nipani border, there was only one lane operational, and there was heavy, heavy, heavy security and task force people that were present over there. You had to be checked by them. The thing that they were asking for was the Seva Sandhu verification number. Once you put the Seva Sindhu verification number, they would check it in their system, and then they would allow you to proceed ahead only for about a kilometer, where there was a massive camp that was set, you know, almost as if it was a refugee camp. Almost like about 300-400 people were present over there, out of which about 50 to 80 people were from the police. There were another about 30-40 people. There were healthcare workers, another 20-30 people that were the administrative staff over there. It was massive. This camp was brilliant, and it was very, very massive. Um, the minute you enter that camp, you're supposed to park your vehicle. You're supposed to go inside. All right, there is a queue manager where you give the queue manager that number that has been given to you by the Seva Sandhu app. You are asked to wait because the Seva Sandhu app number is fed in by the manager in his system. He's got a system over there, and he feeds it in and he checks and he verifies whether the verification has taken place or not. This is very similar to how you apply a passport. You apply it online and then you get a request number, application number, then you get a date and a time to go and visit the passport office. This was very similar to that. If your verification is not done, he will know immediately and he'll ask you to take a U-turn and cheer you. If your verification is done by the Seva Sandhu app, he asks you to show the papers that you have uploaded. Of course, that is as per their discretion. He may ask you, he may not ask you, but you're supposed to be carrying the papers that you have uploaded on the app as a hard copy, and you should be carrying them in your hand. After that has been done, you move inside and there is a health checkup that is done. The health checkup involves three basic procedures actually. One, you're supposed to make a self declaration in a form which is given by them. Second, you're supposed to be temperature checked, which is through the gun. Third, there is a pulse check which is done by putting the pulsometer into your finger, into your index finger. After all these three steps have been satisfactorily experienced and verified by the healthcare workers over there, is when you actually get a body stamp. You get a body stamp. I don't have that stamp anymore because it's been a few days since I came back. But you get a body stamp which has the date of that particular day. After that, you get an e-pass. You move to the next corner, you get an e-pass. The e-pass issuing officer is going to check all of these things. He's going to check your body stamp, he's going to be checking your health declaration, and only then he's going to be giving you an e-pass, which will be for your vehicle and your vehicle only. It will be for your name and your name only. And if there is somebody else, if there is a co-traveler, with you, he or she will also have to undergo all of these steps. All right. And the amazing thing is that this particular e-pass and this body stamp that has been given to you is valid for a number of days. And the number of days in terms of validity is depending on the demarcation of the category that you fall in, whether you're a business traveler or a transit traveler. For example, a business traveler can be there for 7 days, a transit traveler can be in the state for only for 3 days, so on and so forth. And while coming back from Karnataka into Maharashtra or exiting Karnataka to any other state, if you are caught at any of the checkpoints, okay, because there were quite a few, and they realize that you have exceeded the number of days that were allowed from the date on your stamp to the e-pass that has been issued to you, you will be quarantined immediately. The other amazing thing about this was the entire process was FOC. I did not have to pay a single rupee. Unlike, remember, when I went to the BMC hospital in Mumbai, I was charged 210 rupees. Fine, I didn't mind paying it, but imagine this entire process, which was funded by the Karnataka government, was absolutely FOC to me. And in fact, this particular process would require more funding than just issuing a simple health certificate. Anyway, I don't think that was the more important part. I'm sure the hospital has various other reasons to charge me. But the point is that this entire process that the Karnataka government is following is absolutely seamless. It is without any loopholes because they are not letting a single person, people even on bicycles, people from Sangli, which is the last established village on the Maharashtra side of the border, even from Sangli, even from Kolhapur, people who were traveling on bicycles, even they were being checked. Well, on the other hand, Maharashtra, the condition was apathetic. The kind of lip sympathy job that the police and the administrative staff over there, while returning was doing was deplorable. While I was there, I did some, ground covering, and there is a video which I'm going to show you next. That is the Karnataka checkpost. That's the preliminary checkpoint From there, if you go about 500 meters ahead, there's a huge checkpoint where the health checkup is taking place, and each and every person is being accounted for. And that's the way you can go and enter into Karnataka. I'm on a bridge which is actually the state border between Karnataka and Maharashtra, and this is where you have to enter Maharashtra from. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about. And then when you go ahead from the Nipani Bridge towards Maharashtra, you realize that about a kilometer ahead, the situation could be very different. It could be really strict, but it wasn't. I mean, we had way better infrastructure as far as a checkpoint is concerned. And again, there is a video which I'm going to show you. Way better infrastructure than what Karnataka had, but zero intent. It is this lack of intent which actually is the price that we are paying for. Please take a look, and then we're going to come to the closing of this video. A checkpoint that the Maharashtra state has created for people to screen people who are entering Maharashtra, but let me tell you that they are doing a jack of a job. You can see there are so many bikers who have just entered, and there was no check-in which was done. They're just doing this for lip sympathy. This is exactly what is making us pay this price. Mumbai is the commercial capital. Maharashtra is one of the richest states in terms of contribution to India's GDP. Mumbai pays some crazy amount of tax. Almost about 1/3 of the nation's taxes come from Mumbai. We've got the Bombay Stock Exchange, and which is why we're considered to be the commercial capital. We've got so many head offices over here. We've got Bollywood over here, which is again a money spinner. We've got a consumer population which has got one of the highest disposable incomes. But the kind of security that we are expecting out of the government is not being fulfilled at all. The kind of apathy that the Maharashtra government is showing is really, really noteworthy, that it can do way better. And it makes me feel really sad that Mumbai always has to undergo these kind of compromises, whether it is the rains, whether it is floods because of the rains, whether it is terror attacks, whether it is the pathetic condition of our roads. We always end up being at the receiving end. There are so many reasons, so many other reasons, for the high number of cases in Mumbai. But that does not discount the fact that the inflow of people into Mumbai and into Maharashtra has been ineffectively monitored by the Uddhav Thackeray government. And I think the government can do much better. It should do much better. Of course, it was not the government that Maharashtra as a state elected, but now that it is in power, it has a strong chance for proving its worth, so that it can get really elected instead of doing the petty politics that they did. They can really get elected out of a democratic mandate and win through a huge majority, and this is their litmus test. But unfortunately, up until now, they're failing drastically. We've got the highest number of cases in the country, and it was still being said, up until a few days ago, that the kind of reporting of corona cases that Mumbai is doing and Maharashtra is doing is way lower than the actual numbers, which means that we are underreporting, which exactly is a slap on the government's face. I mean, if 70,000, 80,000 cases is less, then I don't know how many more cases are actually there, lurking on the streets in people's houses. I genuinely feel that this is a wake-up call for everyone, especially the government, and we as citizens need to take notice of this, and we need to remember what this government is doing to us. And I want to reiterate that this is not a political post. I want to ensure and assure you guys that I'm not getting paid by any other party to do this, but this is something that I have faced firsthand. You've seen the pictures for you guys. I've kept all these pictures so that I could prove it to you, and this is completely inspired by my experience, which I thought was very groundbreaking, and it was earth-shattering for me to see that despite having the kind of cases that we have in Maharashtra and Mumbai, the government, the administration, the civic body, and the police to a great extent are not doing their job. Remember this. Thank you. Thank you for watching, guys.